On today's episode, I have Mitch Barham with Barham Marketing, if I can say that correctly. Again, I know we were going back and forth between Barham and Barham, so I like the second version. Barham sounds a lot better. How are you today, Mitch?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just got back from a little mini vacation, and granted, still worked the entire vacation, but I'm good.
That's very exciting. Yeah, I'm doing good too. It's thunderstorming here in Tulsa. So I usually leave my window or patio door open so I can enjoy the rain a little bit. But today we're really going to be going over some advertising Q&As, just some brief overviews between like TikTok, Meta, LinkedIn, Google, YouTube, just kind of running through this show style. We thought this would be a great episode to record for our audience and for small business owners or even other marketing professionals to be able to chime in on. It'd be no different. What you're going to experience today is going to be no different than as if you were to sit down at a coffee shop with us and enjoy a cup of coffee, which I'm drinking some espresso. Speaking of coffee, oh yeah, you too?
I got me some cold brew.
Ah, nice. All right, so give me a little bit of an introduction to you, Mitch. How long you been in the industry? What kind of platforms you manage, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, no. So first, I appreciate you having me on. Really excited for this, and yeah, I mean, we've chatted in the past, and we get along and have the same thoughts on a lot of things. So that's great. My history, man, I've been doing the like self-employed thing, as I would call it, for 17 years. Started out in the e-commerce industry, so I was selling a lot of like other people's stuff. So I had the equivalent of like a bodybuilding.com in the supplement industry. We sold everybody else's stuff, but that was like before you could even advertise on Facebook, right? You had Google AdWords and forums. So I don't know if you're old enough to remember forums, but it's kind of like the old school Discord. Like, so now we have Discord, but like back then it was forums.
Was it kind of like Reddit? Reddit's just like a whole bunch of forums, right?
Yeah, so it was kind of like Reddit, but like you would go to a landing page and have all these different sections. So I mean, it was essentially Reddit before, Reddit was kind of just launching way back then and kind of starting to get a foothold. So it was a lot of like just display advertising, and didn't realize it back then, but it was content marketing without realizing we were doing content marketing, because you're going in there, getting engaged with the communities, and growing your brand and the brand awareness that way. So over the last 17 years, I've had multiple e-commerce businesses of my own, built them, sold them, had a few really good ones that we built to multi-seven figures pretty quick. And through that, I learned, because I was very frugal, I learned how to do all the digital marketing myself. And I never took any courses, never, I did try to like decipher, let's say Gary Vaynerchuk's, hyperbole, or, some Ezra Firestone free webinars, and then you kind of decipher what they're doing, and then I would go and implement it myself. And, through that really trial and error of spending my own money, we mastered Facebook, Instagram, Google. And then I did make the decision, and I made the mistake with one business when Facebook was first coming around. It was like, this Facebook thing's a fad. Like, there's no way it's going to like actually stick around. Right? Like, people talk about where they are and pictures of their food. Like, this is just silly. It was like, no way. Yeah, I watched one of my businesses suffer from that, and was just like, okay, never again. I will always pivot and evolve to where the attention is. Because I was so romantic about like the days of the forums, the Reddits and all this stuff, and that's the way it's going to be. But then people moved to Facebook, and it was like, shit, this isn't going to work anymore. And so I had to teach myself how to do that. And so like, this has been nice. I have spent millions of my own dollars to figure everything out and get successful at it. The agency thing kind of stumped, like, really, in all honesty, happened by accident in 2018, because we were doing so good in my own companies that I had people coming to me being like, bro, you guys are killing it. Like, what are you doing? Will you run my ads for me? It was like, okay, like, let's see what happens.
I guess, might as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, all right. And then so the agency was just kind of like, I figured like gonna be like a side hustle kind of thing. And it just took off from there. But the beautiful part for me, and I feel like my kind of competitive advantage over a lot of other agency owners or agencies out there is like, I've built businesses, I've bootstrapped, I know what it takes, I've done, I mean, it's all the same thing. Like no matter what industry it is, it's all the same kind of methodology to a degree. And being able to still spend my own money for my own e-com agencies or businesses still to test things out, then implement them into a client's account. It's pretty fun and more advantageous for them, right? I'm not experimenting with their money. I'm experimenting with mine and then okay, it works. Let's go ahead and try to implement it over here. Yeah, long-winded way of where I started, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I experience a lot of times that people come to me and they're like, hey, we're ready to do some ads. And then I've got to have the conversation with them to pull them backwards and say, all right, well, do you have a landing page? Do you have a website? Do you have any assets? Do you have any creatives? I kind of start that conversation all the way to the groundwork. How do you approach that? So when someone's like, hey, I'm ready to run some ads, you're just like, all right, cool. Like, what platform do you want to do it on? Like, do you let people pick and choose, or like kind of like before getting started, like what's the foundational stuff?
Yeah, I mean, before, like, so the majority of our people, reach out to us and want to chat, and they may come in thinking that they want to do Google ads or Facebook ads, whatever. And so I always jump on at least an hour long of what I call a discovery call. And I'm literally not trying to sell them anything. Like, I just want to know about your business, about you, let's look at your websites. And I've done a little bit of research beforehand, but like I go into all that. And then I, ask other questions too, like what's your average ticket value, average order value, all this information that I know was what's going to make the ad successful or not.
Yeah, that's another really important metric that you just mentioned, is like making sure that like what is their average ticket price or average product or average sale? Like what's it worth to acquire a new customer? Because you could be spending a bunch of money in ads and then, say, hey, like these numbers look really good and we've brought you some customers, and then they come back and be like, well, it's not worth it because we're spending too much in ads. Like the ROAS in number is really important to know, right? Or customer lifetime value and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like what are their margins? So like on the e-com end, I mean, a lot of it's like margins. Like, okay, what kind of margins are you working with? So I dig deep into that and then learn about their product. And then it's like, okay, you may not give my recommendation that like, hey, I think that your product would be best suited for Google because it's more of a reactive platform to where they're looking for it, right? And it's a higher ticket item, like, hardwood floors or HVAC or, like all kinds of stuff. And I'll explain it to them, and then usually they go, okay, no, that makes sense. And I'm like, because like the big difference between Google and Facebook is Facebook is very, what I call proactive. You're getting in their face, you're trying to create demand, you're creating FOMO. So if you don't have like a killer offer, it's harder to get more leads or sales on Facebook. If it's something that's higher ticket, and but at the same time, if you're okay with a longer sales cycle, great. I will say, and I think you and I are very similar in this sense, I have turned people away and told them, look, you're not in a position to hire an agency to do this. Like, I literally turned an e-com company away in a very nice way, though. I gave them a list of 20 things to do. I was like, if I'm you guys, you need to increase your AOV. You need to get items that you can sell to them after that first purchase, because your, average cost per acquisition is probably going to be 20 to 40 bucks, depending on CPMs and whatnot. And your AOV is $22. Doesn't matter how much money I bring in, it's never going to cover everything. And I'm like, and I'm just being honest with you. Like, I could just take your money, but I don't want to. I want you to be successful. And yes, there are these kinds of videos that should be done, but like, do these things. And when you get, your AOV to like 50, 60 bucks, let's talk, because then I could really kill it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense too. What about budget?
Yeah, budget's always a fun one. So when it comes to ad spend, it kind of depends, so if you're going nationwide, so like our nationwide customers, I $2,000-3,000 a month ad spend minimum, and that's me stretching it real tight and trying to get CPMs real low. And there's some tricks to getting your CPMs really low that a lot of people don't do, but I have one client that does it really well, and we have like $3 CPMs for a nationwide campaign. It's insane. But like, so if it's nationwide, really $2,000-3,000 minimum, and we could split that out across different platforms. But it also depends on the industry. If you're talking real estate, it's more local. You can get away with a smaller budget, but Google's probably not be the place to go because you're fighting against Remax, Redfin, Keller Williams, eXp Realty, all these big dogs, right? Local marketing. Again, it just kind of depends. I mean, it
depends on the industry and stuff too. So I can chime in a little bit on that. So like, there was a story that I'm thinking about with this dumpster company that we worked with. We took a budget and he was wanting to spend like $500 a month on Google ads. And he has 2 or 3 other competitors that are also competing for the same Google ad space. And when you're on Google ads, you will have, if you have other competitors on there, then usually your costs are going to be higher, right? So Google will want to rank those ads based on whoever's got the highest budget and whoever's willing to pay the most per click, rather than like on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. It's less like on a bidding rate. There's some other, depending on the campaign level, but for the most part, it's not as aggressive and budget heavy. I feel like on Google on social media ads compared to Google ads. So like, I was telling them, I was like, for $500 a month, I was like, your ad spend's going to run out by 11 o'clock when you start that campaign at 8, because, and that was another cool thing. So yeah, man, this is such a cool story. So we were running their Google ads, $500 a month for about 3 to 4 months. And he was like, hey, how come my phone quits ringing after noon? And blah, blah. And how come my ads aren't showing up? It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, I'm not getting any more phone calls. I was like, well, it's probably because your ad spend is so low, you're running out and you're only getting a couple calls or a couple form submissions or whatever. So we took that budget and increased it. I was like, 3x the budget, give me $1,500, and then watch that ad last a little bit longer throughout the days. Said, unless you put it on a specific ad schedule to where you're like, I wanted this ad to show between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, and that's it. You can play with that budget as well. But we took that from $500 to $1,500, and Google was now showing that ad a little bit longer throughout the days, throughout the weeks. And so he was now starting to get a few more calls. Now, again, on Monday, if he got a whole bunch of calls, and on Tuesday, he got a few other ones, Google's going to try to like figure out ways to be able to optimize that budget spread throughout the 30-day period, throughout the calendar month. So it could spend it all like on Monday by noon, and then it's going to save some of that budget for Tuesday, right? So on and so forth. And then Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, like they're all going to kind of do the same thing as well. So if you notice that like your ads quit running in a certain time frame, that's going to reflect your budget as well. Your budget is also going to be determined on your audience. A lot of times people will come to me and they're like, can I spend $500 a month? I go, yeah, but let me start at the groundwork. I did this actually yesterday. There's a couple that's doing, they're doing an event in June, and I was teaching them, I was like, here, if you're trying to figure out what to spend on Facebook and Instagram, for example, you need to build out your demographic and your audience. Once you have the geography of where you're wanting to target them, you put in your interest. They'll usually give you, in Facebook, Google, and Instagram, and all of them, they'll usually give you some level of expectation for like how many impressions or views or clicks and things like that. So I was like, build out the audience. If you have 1 million people in your audience and you have $1,000 budget, and with that $1,000, let's say over a 30-day period, if you run that, it reaches 250,000 people. Well, now it's how long does it take you to reach that whole audience? And then we know that you probably have to have a frequency of 3. So if you do the math, you're like, okay, well, we're going to have to run this campaign for 4 months just to assume that we're going to hit everyone in our audience, right? So then there's your budget, there's your time frame. And then you go, okay, well, if we're going to have to hit them at least 2 or 3 times, then you're going to have to double down on that budget in order to hit them 2 or 3 times in that same time frame, or just extend that time frame by like 2 or 3 times as well. So it could take you a whole year with that same budget to assume that everyone in your audience is going to see that, unless you double down at the time frame. Am I on the right track? Because I know you're the advertising pro here.
No, you're 100% right. Like the way I like to explain it to, well, anybody that'll ever listen to me. So no matter what the audience size is, like let's say on Facebook, you have the awareness you choose. Well, you may have 1 million people, but there's really only a small percentage of people inside that objective, that audience, that it's really going to get shown to. And so that you just have to keep recycling through and pushing through and spending and spending and spending. And realistically, there are going to be those low-hanging fruit people who take action right away, but I mean, most people have to see an ad 3 to 20 something times before they actually take action, right? So 100%, you can kind of figure, really based off CPMs. I mean, it's like locally, yeah, you might be able to get 5 to, on the high end, if you're doing a bad job, $15 CPMs. But if you can get that $5 to $10 CPM, then you go, okay, it cost me $10 to get in front of 1,000 people, and then it's just the law of averages. Now you have the click-through rates and everything else like that. And so then you can go, okay, like you said, there's this many people in that audience, there's this many people who should be interested. Google's really great for that. I love the metrics that Google gives when it comes to like keywords and audiences and sizes. But yeah, then you can just extrapolate that out. I mean, it's like, just certain kind of, it's just math.
And I was telling them too, I was like, once you get that audience down, once you make any revisions to it over like a 2 or 3 month period, you kind of get that optimized. Then once you get those numbers, those ratios, those percentages or whatever, once you get those down and you start seeing a trend, and so long as those are performing above average, now it's just a numbers game. So if you're like, okay, well, I'm getting 2 to 3 calls a week or forms or whatever it is, or reactions, whatever your goal is, and your numbers are a little bit above average, then now you just need to increase your budget, because you can make that reflect against your sales goals, right? So if you're like, I want to increase my sales goals by X, I'm like, okay, you're at this now, you want to go here. Now we just need to figure out how your campaigns need to be budgeted in order for you to be able to hit those sales goals.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's like, here's how many people see it. Here's how many people click through. Here's how many people make it to that. And then here's how many people take that action. Well, if we want more of that action, we have to increase everything on the front end to get more people here. It's kind of like a simple one way to explain it. That it's e-commerce. Everybody thinks they're like, oh, I just launched a website, I should be making tons of sales. Or I got 100 people to my website, nobody buy. Well, your average e-com conversion rate, in all honesty, for most people is like 0.5% to 1%. So out of 100 people, you might get one person to buy. Might. So you got to get a lot of qualified traffic there, and then it takes time, and then there's conversion rate optimization. But it's that same game. The more people we can get to the website, the higher chance there are of orders, and then you get to see what your conversion rate is. So it's the same thing, even on services, everything. Like, okay, once we get you there, what's that percent of people that actually convert or perform the action or get the voucher or call in for the deal, whatever. And then if you want to, if you want to go bigger, like, okay, how much more can you handle? Let's pour some, what I call gasoline on the fire, and throw more money at it. But I'm methodical about increasing budgets, which you guys probably are too. I see a lot of business owners will make the mistake of like, dude, this is killing it at $50. Let's jack it to 200. Okay, in theory that works, but you literally just freak the algorithm out. And there is truth to, if you give Facebook too much money, even Google too much money right out of the gate, it's like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall hoping something sticks, versus giving them, say $40 on like a national campaign a day and going, make this work, then scaling it. Like, I'll do like $20 a day. That's actually a little bit more than usual. Back in the day, it was like you didn't want to do more than 20% of an increase without really freaking the algorithm out and going back into the learning phase. But now the learning phase is kind of always happening. Doesn't matter if you're in it or out of it. Shit still works.
Yeah. I had this story too when I was just talking about the dumpster company. and we were talking about running like Facebook ads and Google ads at the same time. With them, that's what we were doing. We turned off the Facebook ads because he's like, we're not generating any business from it, or very little. And I was like, okay, well, let's cut that out. And then we moved that budget over to Google ads. The conversions on Google ads didn't change. Mm-hmm. And they either didn't change or they decreased a little bit. And I was like, we tested this back out. We turned on the Facebook ads again, and we figured out that the Facebook ads for them and their industry was a really good brand awareness, right? And it was really more top of funnel, just letting people know that, like, hey, if you need a dumpster, we're here. You need a dumpster, you need fencing, you need restrooms, whatever it was. And then when it becomes intentional, they went to Google, and then they found their ad. They recognized them because they saw their ads on Facebook and Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, right? And then they went to Google, and then they made a conversion, and it created that funnel much easier. So sometimes it's like you got to do both. And if one doesn't work, it doesn't mean that the other one's going to work, or like they go hand in hand. They can, right? And it also, just like you said, depends on different industries. Right. Maybe for this particular industry, their audience engages with their ads on one platform in one way, and in another platform a different way.
No, 100%. And like I'm turning my AirPod on because I'm trying to see if I can get the audio from my phone to stop real quick. I got a similar story when it comes to a carpet cleaning business. No, why aren't you going through this? Okay, whatever. That they literally fought me tooth and nail. Then they were like, no, Facebook doesn't work. Facebook sucks. We're seeing these high conversions, but what's kind of a bummer with Facebook is unless you set up a special event, you can't really track like on-site phone calls, right? To where with Google, we kind of can. And so this guy, same thing, man. He was like, Facebook sucks. Like, look at the cost per conversion versus Google. And we would go back and forth. And then finally he just like, I kind of got wore down enough where I was like, okay, fine, let's try it. Turned him off. Within 2 weeks, he's like, dude, all of our conversions have gone down. Like, what's going on? And I was like, we need to have Facebook on. Like you need to be everywhere, or omnipresent, as I like to call it. You want to be top of mind all the time. So they're going to your landing page, they're getting retargeted on Facebook, or they're seeing the top of funnel awareness on Facebook, going to the page, but then didn't convert right then, and they go and search, just like you said. Now boom, they're right there. So it's like the attribution model is kind of hard because Facebook likes to take credit for one thing, Google likes to take credit for another thing, but really there's multi-touch point attribution, and they have to. I totally agree with you. Like everything works hand in hand. I mean, your TikTok ads help drive awareness, and like, oh yeah, this person. Well, then if they go to your website, now they're going to see you on Facebook. Then if they go to YouTube, maybe they can see you on YouTube now. You're everywhere. They can't escape you. Like I love to get people in the marketing web, as I call it, and then you're mine. Like you can't get out.
Yeah. Well, like this pizza shop that we're working on together, right? So for the last couple of months, that's what his customers are saying, and that is what some of even the people that I know that they know I'm working on that account, and they're like, man, I'm seeing this pizza shop all over the place. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on YouTube, they're on TikTok, and I'm always seeing new content. And that's the other thing too, is like you have, like in order for the ads to work, you have to have some level of creativity or some production or some assets or something like that. So like we're working on creating a process to be able to create 25 to 30 videos a month that we don't have to use all those for ads, but it gives us some flexibility to be like, all right, well, let's turn some of these into community engagement. Let's just put a little promotion behind each one of these, like $100 a pop or whatever. And then let's put some on YouTube, and let's make some of these a certain campaign. So then also I'm not having the creative fatigue problem, right? So there's been some campaigns and some ads that I've been served or that I've seen or heard about or even ran myself too at some point, like you have a creative fatigue problem to where that campaign's no longer converting because it's been seen too many times. People are getting annoyed by it, or maybe that creative doesn't creative doesn't actually explain or serve the actual problem that they need. But if they maybe heard it or saw it in a different format, a different way on a different platform, again, those different platforms can work together, and those different creatives, those different assets can help benefit each other back and forth, You got a whiteboard.
100%.
You got a whiteboard back there, and I'm over here making a note. on my tablet. But
yeah, I'm a 6-foot whiteboard kind of guy.
my conference room, I have the glass wall, so like the whole thing is a whiteboard. It's awesome.
Yes.
But have you ever heard of like when someone, yeah, you made the comment about when someone builds a website or starts a business and then people just expect to start having sales. I think you said something like that earlier on.
Yep.
Okay. So that is where advertising, marketing, SEO, whatever comes into play. And the best analogy that I've heard so far, if you got a better one, let me know, is if you were to go out in the middle of the desert and you were to drop a business, right? Maybe it's a retail shop, it's a gas station. Now, SEO draws the roads, right? Mm-hmm. And it helps put up some signage, right? Now, these aren't necessarily billboards. These are maybe just a couple signs. Along the way, you'll have signs that say, hey, there's a gas station here. Ads can help light up those signs. So now you turn those little billboards, those little signs into billboards and you light them up. Or maybe they're digital billboards. Or, again, if some of you guys could see the graphic here, it'd be like, you've got your road, you've got your signage, you have SEO and ads that kind of help push traffic towards that business. In the past, I've had some people, they get upset. They're like, well, how come I haven't gotten any conversions? It's been 2 weeks since we published our new website. And I'm like, well, what are you doing to drive traffic to it? Yeah. I know you told your mom and your dad and your friends and family, but like, they're probably not going to be, supplying you with enough revenue to be able to support yourself, right? You got to hit some more people. You got to spend some money in ads. You got to be able to work on some SEO. You got to write some content, publish some new stuff, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, and that's a great analogy. I love that. And that's funny you say the friends and family thing, because that's usually the first people like you tell, but they're actually, friends and family are great. They're horrible customers. They usually don't buy from you. They want it for free or whatever. But like even just creating content, that's like, to me, is just step one, whether it's just grabbing your phone and making content. We live in an age right now. We have in my opinion, two places right now that are huge for organic content. TikTok, which has kind of changed itself now. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's trying to compete even more with YouTube with long form content and production values. So you're seeing older videos get more likes and stuff than your newer ones. So it's taking a while longer to get those thousands of views or even go viral.
I think that's because they figured out that their audience has become more search intent based. Like they can use that as a search engine. And then they've also been able to integrate that with Google search results on mobile. Right. So it's like, hey, we can go after YouTube by providing some long form content. And then if we have a good algorithm for supporting for search terms, now we could potentially take over YouTube. And who needs to go to Google anymore if they're looking for a recipe?
Nobody. Right. I mean, but it's right in video and you can watch it for 10 minutes. So you have like TikTok, you can create this TikTok organic content that just booms. And then one that I think a lot of people are still sleeping on is, while it may be your personal Facebook page, but personal Facebook page reels, you can make it so only your reels are like public, right? And the rest of your page is hidden. I have had videos get 1.6 million views, 1.5, hundreds of thousands. And I'm just literally giving out educational content, right? And it's free. I'm driving traffic to our website, getting people, building that brand awareness through TikTok, through Facebook. And I think every business can do it. You just have to not be salesy. It's just brand awareness. Like, this is who we are. This is what we do. Let me show you behind the scenes. It's kind of like that reality TV. Everybody wants to see behind the fourth wall. I like to use the analogy when it comes to like reality TV and social media now is like I don't know if you watched the WWF growing up at all, or WCW. I'm like 8 years older than you, so I don't know. No. But you have they had this thing called kayfabe, where these guys were always in character, like always out in public. They were in character 100% of the time. But now kayfabe has gone out the window because of reality TV and social media. Like, now you've seen behind the fourth wall, you get to see so many more aspects of it. And people want to see that stuff when it comes to businesses. So even if you're just starting out, pump out content, but then also don't overcomplicate it. Like, do what I like to tell my clients when it comes to producing content for like their social media, or the way we like to do it is, if we can, like all in one day. So then you don't have creative fatigue, right? If you're trying to do it every day, like, oh my gosh, I tried that was horrible. To where I will, if you go and look at my TikTok and my Facebook reels, I'm in the same sweatshirt for 14 videos, or the same shirt for 14 videos, because I recorded them all at one time in an hour and then edited them over that 14 days.
Well, that's what we do with our social media clients. It's either once a month or once a quarter. We'll go by their job site or their location, shoot some photos and shoot some videos. So then their content's always like fresh and new, and it is them. It is not like stock stuff that's being posted all the time. That drives me nuts, and that's what people don't want anymore. People don't want to see that stock footage that everyone is using, right? And then I also noticed that, like, especially business owners, like, we all get it. They don't have the time to be able to shoot, edit, and publish and schedule them and be able to manage all that, right? Because they're running all the other stuff. So if we can take just 2 hours a month or a couple hours a quarter to just get a glimpse of what is going on in their world, then we can provide the perception to their audience that something new is always happening, even though it's not daily, right? So of course, like, at the bare minimum, it's like 2 hours a quarter, or 2 hours a month. We'll come out and shoot whatever we can, capture whatever we can while we're there. And then we work on building the archive. So like with one of our landscaping clients, we have 13 months where we visited one of their projects, or two of their projects every single month. So you can imagine how much photography and videography that we have. We can make them look like something new is happening throughout the rest of this year. So for the last 12 months, we've got something seasonal. We got green grass, we got gray grass, we got snow, we got dirt, we got, right?
Nice,
And so, like, of course, like, if they have some upcoming projects that are larger, we're going to want to go out there and capture those as well to feature those projects. But just like you said, like, you don't have to sit there and produce new content every single day, but if you can systematize it, and again, good business owners, I feel like, can systematize and process. And that's what a business is. It's built of people with systems and process, right? I think that's the definition. It's pretty close to the definition of a business.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the time when you're first starting out, you're flying by the seat of your pants, but eventually you figure out those systems and processes as you go and then implement them, and then things get so much easier. I mean, you can fly by the seat of your pants at the beginning, but then you're going to get to a point where now you need a system, you need a process, you have to have, SOPs and your employees knowing the process of how to do this, how to do X, Y, Z. Yeah. But don't get hung up on that at the beginning. Like, just do it. Like, right. I feel like that Shia LaBeouf meme where he's just like, just do it. Just do it. Because I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, just do it. Like, if you go back and, like, even producing the content, if you go back and look at the first videos even I started producing, and I don't have a huge amount of followers in my opinion by any means, but they were crap. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I had to have 2 beers before the majority of the time that I would start recording, just to kind of loosen up and not be nervous and in my own head. Yeah. But it's like, just get out there and do it, and then that helps drive traffic. Then you might even have some of that organic stuff that works really well, right? So then you take that and you turn it into an ad. Like, I mean, that's that's the split test right there. Organically, is it performing well? Okay, if it did really well organically, now let's take that, turn it into an ad, and start driving traffic to your local business's website, your e-com business, like whatever. I found that
a good rule of thumb for every hour that you're able to record, like if you were to sit down, put a camera in front of you, put your phone in front of you, and sit and just talk for an hour and just have some bullet points, look at a piece of paper and talk. You can then create between 8 and 12 little short form videos.
Yep.
Pretty good ones, like with some solid content that's between, and each one of those videos are somewhere between 20 and 60 seconds, right? Where they have something valuable. So again, you don't have to spend a bunch of time. Have you ever heard of the analogy that is like flying a plane while you're fixing it, repairing it?
Yeah.
Me and my team were talking about that, and they were like, someone was like, man, I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I feel like we're flying this plane while we're repairing it at the same time. I'm like, yep. And it's going to be like that for probably a long time. Like, and I guarantee you that Wells Fargo and all these large banks right now, they're flying their planes and they're going down. It's nosediving, and they're like losing a wing here, and now they got to repair this and fix that. Like you're never going to be just. I feel like if you're always just flying, then nothing's changing, right? And nothing needs to be improved. Nothing needs to be changed. You just become really stagnant. And there's a business that we're working with now that actually you're working with us too. They've been in business for 30 years and they don't have any presence. They've been stagnant for the last 15. And their revenue hasn't changed. They've been happy, but now they've sold the business and moved on. And the new person is trying to get things in place to be able to go to the next level. And it's like, man, if you would have started this 10 years ago before everyone else did, oh my God, you'd be a $25, $30 million HVAC business or bigger. Like you would have dominated Tulsa, but because you've waited and haven't valued it or looked at it as in something you need to do, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's not like people are too late to start doing things, but it's a little bit harder than it was. I mean, it's like getting on TikTok in 2020 was, you would have had a lot easier time growing clients, or not clients, but getting followers than when I started, 8-9 months ago. It's way harder. Creating video, like, bro, I have been preaching video for 8 years in other agencies that I've worked with or, collaborated with, were just like, when it came to video on social, like they wanted it to be, needed to be TV quality, and like, no, video is just TV. And I'm like, I'm telling you guys, like, I have literally built businesses off the back of video and grown other businesses off the back of video. And I mean, even from an advertising side, like, one is that fourth wall breakdown. There's so much more you could show, and personalities of people buy from people don't buy from a business.
Yep.
But then even from a marketing standpoint, being able to retarget based on video views, right? That's huge now, especially because of the iOS 14. But dude, back before iOS 14, we were killing it with like a 4 times return top of funnel. I couldn't scale that thing at all because it was like the video was just killing it. And then that was when you could actually like go, okay, here's this video, and then to only show those video viewers this other ad for retargeting, and then they would just crush it. It's like video to me is, I don't even know what got me on this tangent, but I just love video. If people would have done things earlier, no, 100%. I mean, and then stagnancy to me, complacency is like the beginning of the end. And I've learned that the hard way too. Like I was telling you early on with that one business, I was complacent. I loved where we were advertising. Didn't really want to learn anything new. This Facebook thing, like, dude, this is a fad. There's no way this thing sticks around.
That's what I thought about TikTok. I was on TikTok before anybody else was. Like, during the very beginning. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, okay, what is this? And then I was like, this is some app trying to be like Vine. Which like crashed and burned. And Vine failed. TikTok is the new Vine, right? So Vine, I feel like they failed because they didn't figure out ways to reduce the whole spam thing. And then they didn't do a good job at creating the authenticity and the culture of what TikTok has been able to do, is show you behind the scenes and force people to just create content that's natural or raw, right? Like non-filmed, like non-commercial style. Like it doesn't have to be perfect and pretty and edited and, right? Like,
yeah. Oh no. Yeah. And that's that whole breakdown of the fourth wall, right? People want to see behind the scenes. They don't. And for me, this just goes to prove what I had been preaching for a long time. It's just like, I had a business partner in one of my e-com companies that was just dead set, man. Like, I want my videos to be high production value, and they weren't, it was literally just to like explain a product. Like, it was basically a product explainer video and like the benefits, right? And he was just dead set, like, yo, this needs to be high production value, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, no, we don't want it to look like an ad. People don't want to see ads anymore. There's that anti-big corporation, anti-big ads. Like, we don't
They're
want
tired
ads.
of seeing ads. And that's where I'll categorize video content into 3 different categories. You either have film production as 1, you have natural as 2, and you have raw as 3. Can you think of anything others? Any others?
No, that's pretty much it.
Film production is like that commercial style. Those are like your $20,000 commercials. And then you have natural, which is like, okay, well, we did a little bit of staging, we did a little bit of editing, and then that's it. And then raw is like, hey, I just handheld my phone, came over here and recorded what I was doing, or did a selfie style, and then posted it. People are wanting to see more of the natural and the raw and less of the film and production. And I've been arguing this with a lot of companies and even other production people. They want to charge $1,200 a day to come out and shoot, and $1,200 a day to edit, and then they want to make me 30 TikToks for 15 grand. I'm like, nah, dude, like you're not going to find anybody that does that. And and any one of these corporations that are paying for that, like they're paying for that because they don't know otherwise. That's just kind of what they're used to, and they haven't made the switch. So, for example, like with that pizza shop, I'm like, this doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Like, let me come and shoot some B-roll. Let me mic you up and ask you a few questions. Let me take that back, have one of my editors get creative. We can probably make 10 videos about that B-roll, maybe 10 more with some trending sounds. We can probably throw in some CapCut edits, which is a trending thing. And then now we've got 5 or 10 more with you talking. And then, just kind of mix up some variations of that, right? And now we can build up an archive. And as we continue doing that over and over again, I can have my editors get creative for what we want to do next month. Like, do I have to go and shoot something this month? Maybe, maybe not, right?
Right. No, 100%. And I've seen those videos. They work great. I mean, they look great. They're very authentic. Like when I watched them, I was like, yeah, no, this is on point.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really liked them. And I can usually tell, I mean, like we have a client that sells sewing machines. It's kind of fun. We learned a lot about sewing machines and quilting machines, but
you don't stick to just one industry, do you? Right?
Not really. I mean, no.
Yeah, same. Me neither.
Short answer is no. I mean, like there is that whole idea between like niching down and like you only do this. And I know guys that have built I mean, we're talking what, 20, 30, 40, $50 million agencies off the backs of only
just
serving
doctor offices or
dentists or chiropractors or gyms, but they have to be a studio gym in a strip mall that only offers classes. I've seen guys do that great. That's boring to me. Like it's cookie cutter. And that's I mean, but it's great for systems and processes. Back to systems and processes, here's the format, go implement
copy
it.
and paste it, and it's easy to scale, right? But there's
100%.
nothing cool and fun and challenging.
No.
And something that you can customize when you're like, well, I've worked with some construction clients and some HVAC and then some retail and some restaurant. And I've shown some results and proof for like with each one of them that, the team has some capabilities and performance with each industry, right? I love the challenges. And of course, like we have some prerequisites, like it's very difficult for us to work with micro business, like the under $500,000 a year range, just a couple of employees. So like, our preference is somewhere between like the $1 million to 50. Like that's kind of our sweet spot. So like you have some established, right? You have some employees, you have some systems process, you already have some history, right? Like I also have to know to bring you on as a client that you're going to be here in a couple of years because I want to work with you.
Yeah. And you're not on your last leg. I've made videos about that, but like, I mean, with our agency, we have e-commerce clients and your local service-based businesses and, all over the country too. Like we actually have very few clients in our own town. I have a maid service in Canada. We have tons of East Coast clients. Like, and then when it comes to the e-commerce side, somebody was calling me. Like the e-commerce side, we have everything from gun holsters to supplements to apparel. I mean, but it keeps it interesting. And to me, it is all kind of the same thing. It might sound cocky, but because I came up in e-commerce, right? So e-commerce is a whole beast. I mean, you have the ads to the website optimization, to the emails, to the SMS marketing and the flows and
the loyalties and the reminders.
Dude, it's like, and they again have to be a certain size because it's like, dude, to make all this work and really do good, like it all has to work together. And I want my hands in on all of it because that's my baby. E-commerce gets me excited. To where like lead gen, I mean, like, we work with carpet cleaners, med spas, HVAC people, I don't even know, maid services, sewing machine guy, like, but it's all kind of the same thing, the same process to a degree, just different creative. You know what I mean? Like it's the same campaign structures for the most part. Like it's the same end goal. We want to drive you more customers. And that's where I feel like I really focus on. And I know other people that I deal with agency wise that like don't per se care about the end goal of getting their customer more customers. And I'm like, well, isn't that the point? Like you awareness and then convert them. Like that's the whole point of all of this. But it's more exciting to work with a variety of industries. Like it truly is. That's kind of why I didn't, I went to college to be a CPA. And I literally was one semester away from graduating with my bachelor's and going to go take the CPA exam. And I was like, nah, dude, I don't know that I can see myself sitting behind a computer just crunching numbers all day, which now is what I do.
Basically,
different numbers, but there's a little bit of creative aspect to it. But that was just going to be so boring. But this is kind of cool because I get to interact with car wash chemical companies, flooring companies, HVACs, and and it keeps everybody in the office on their toes because you're not just doing the same mundane thing over and over and over again.
I told Maddie's my social media manager. She started with me back in June of last year. So she's been with me for almost a year. She's awesome. She does a really good job at what she does, man. But I was telling her, I was like, you're going to learn everything. You're gonna know things from like septic to restaurants to retail to this to that and this and that. And I'm like, you're gonna walk out of here. Now we have an insurance client now that we just brought on Tuesday. And so I'm like, now you're gonna learn about insurance, huh?
Yeah.
So there's two other things that I think we should talk on is pixels and tracking, and then the different types of ads. And so when it comes to the pixels and trackings thing, with our engineering client, I integrated and set up and did all the pixel tracking. I just set that up the other day. And at some point, this is probably something that you'll probably do, but I was working with my developer on it. So we set up Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Google Search Console, connected all that to YouTube, put all the pixel trackings and things like that onto their website, put in the LinkedIn tag and the meta pixel tag, and put all that into the tag manager. But a lot of people don't realize that you have to have all of this all set up in order to be able to receive analytics, so then you can make those educated decisions. And that goes back to one of our core values is I want all of my clients to make sure that they know that my door is open to be able to ask questions. I want you to challenge, and I want you to ask, and I want you to be like, hey, what does this mean? How does that work? How can I get this answer? I want you to be able to make educated business decisions, and you can't do that without the data. Otherwise, you're just assuming, So making sure all that setup is so important.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's one of the first things I look at between like using Google Chrome, the Facebook Pixel Helper, the Google Analytics one. I mean, there's all these tools, extensions that guys like me and you use to see, do you even have these on your website? And I'll get on calls, and when people are like, okay, cool, yeah, like we want to move forward, what's the next step? I'm like, well, step one, we're going to get all the tags and pixels on your website. Like,
I need access to your logins. I need your developers or whatever else. Yeah, there's like a setup process.
100%. And it's the same thing as like you just said. I literally tell our clients at least, every decision I make and my people make is based off of data. We have all the dashboards and everything set up so we can see how things are working. What's the flow? Is there a hiccup? Without that data, we're literally just throwing spaghetti at the wall and going, well, maybe that noodle will stick. I don't know. You're just assuming. And then even using offline attribution, right? I've ran into that where it's like, well, how are we going to know that this is working? And it's like, okay, well, do you collect data on the people that buy from you in store? Like, like a loyalty program or something like that. Yeah. Okay, cool. We can take that, plug it back into the system, and then we can tell you for sure that this attribution, like these were attributed to at least seeing or clicking on the ads, and then they came in, or they sent them to a landing page. But like the pixels are huge. Literally have seen people running their own ads on Facebook and just getting horrible results. And then I get on there and I'm like, okay, first off, let's put the pixel on there. And then immediately it changes. it gets way better because now we're feeding the machine food. Like the AIs and the machine learning needs data and tracking capabilities from your website to know what's happening and optimize. Otherwise, it never truly optimizes. And then from a business standpoint, yeah, you have to know, like me as the client, I need to be able to see it and go, yeah, okay, that's perfect. Like that's working. Ask questions, yada, yada, yada. I'm big with transparency. But tracking above all else. And if they don't want to do that, I'm like, this isn't going to work then. You're just going to be mad in 6 months that it's not in your eyes working.
Yeah.
And I can't justify it because I don't have the hard data to go, yeah, no, it's working. Like look at the ROAS, look at all the calls that are coming in. You know, and even with Facebook going as far as going into the event setup tool, going to their website and creating custom conversions based on buttons they've clicked, if their phone number is hyperlinked, because Facebook doesn't track that. And I got bitten in the butt one time where it's like, well, we're getting calls, but I don't know if it's from Facebook. It's got to be from Google. And I was like, oh no, F this. Like went in and created those for all the hyperlinked phone numbers. And then sure as shit, Facebook was driving those conversions, and then I could prove it, right? I could show, no, Mr. Client, like this is it's killing it. You're getting this many form fills, this many this many that.
Like in Google Tag Manager, you can add a trigger for any time someone clicks to call on mobile, and then that reports back to Google Analytics for a conversion.
Yeah. No, and a lot of people don't realize you can even do that. They're like, wait, what's a pixel? And I'm like, oh.
Oh, I mean, that's why you're here.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
why
like,
you
okay,
have a job.
Yeah, like just let me do it. Like I explained to him, it's a tracking mechanism. We'll install it. Like, don't worry. But that's like one of the biggest things beyond the objective in the ads that people choose that I see is always the biggest hurdle right out of the gate is tracking.
Yeah,
and I've seen that with big companies too, where I'm like, you don't even how the hell did you get to be this size and run semi-successful ads without a pixel? Like, oh my God, this is going to be too easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometime, whether it's in the next 5 minutes or like on a part 2, if we decide to do that, the different types of ads and how they work. Like, I think that's another big thing, because sometimes people just think that you can just throw up a post and hit the blue boost button, the magic blue boost button, and then that goes, oh man, that's probably a topic in and of itself. But people don't know that you can have different types of ads, like brand awareness or conversions or calls or lead gen, right? And then and then explaining that on how that works with the different platforms, right?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, real high level, like that's huge, and I've been kind of focusing on that in my content lately, and a lot of it I believe is perpetuated by the Facebook reps. I say reps lightly. Facebook, if you're watching,
they're doing freak phone calls.
Dude, yeah.
If you want to spend more money and waste it, hop on that call, baby.
Same thing with the Google reps. Like, hey, you want to waste some money, get on a call with a Google rep. They'll tell you to change everything to broad match keyword and add in the display network, and then all of a sudden your ads
double your
budget. Yeah, they spend more. Well, now it's limited. Well, yeah, now you got to spend more. Oh my God. But no, 100%. Like, just quick. I mean, yeah, this could be it could be a whole episode, but. Especially on the Facebook end and Google, but like Facebook, first off, the way the algorithm works, what you pick objective wise or ad type wise is who the machine will go out and look for. So say you pick traffic, it will go out and show the ad to people who are most likely to click your button. If you do video views, it's people who like to watch videos, and then it's within your interest targeting and all that stuff. That's, layer deeper.
Which I recommend that you make sure you set that up and don't do the advantage audience.
Never. I tell people, like, that used to just be like the audience expansion. Yeah. I have unchecked that thing for 12 years. Like, never once do I let Facebook decide to serve it to more people that it thinks is going to do better. Nah, bro, you're just spending more of my money. Like, get out of here.
There was one I saw the other day. I know you were on a train there. There was one the other day, and it was like, I don't remember who it was for, and it was like recommending the most off the wall interest. It was like somebody that's interested in the Steelers, and then somebody that's also interested in food, and then somebody that's also interested in this industry. And I was like, this is nowhere near the client industry.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. But I mean, the biggest thing for people is like, that magic. I like the magic blue button. If you want to say throw $1 to $5 a day behind a post to get it in front of more of your followers, because realistically, you're going to get 0.5% to 0.75% of your followers, or like the people who like your page, your business page, to actually see a post organically. It's Dennis Yu, I think, coined the $1 a day method, and then there's another guy, I forget his name, but there's the Hot 7, and it's all the same thing. Like, you're taking this content, boosting it for like $1 a day. So you spend $30 a month on it, right? So you see how it goes, and then it just kind of snowballs, and that's going to help get the content out to more people. That's what I like the blue button for. What I see too many people trying to do is use that blue button to then interest target and location, and you're very limited with what interests show up. How you can exclude or not exclude. Like it's you're very limited to where the Facebook Ads Manager. You have them, and with boosting, I think most of the time it's like Facebook's like, we'll just recommend what we think is best, when it comes to objective, and you're like, no. We have a running joke in here where everybody, when anybody says the word boost, like, we boost ads. You see me kind of do like a little twinge, like that's not advertising. Like, no. But like the objective is huge. I mean, like if your end goal is like leads, you run a conversions ad. And then, the cost might be a little bit more at the beginning because you're just really going to look at your CPM. It's conversion ads always have the most expensive, like a CPL or cost per sale or whatever. But a nifty little hack for everybody that you could do, engage with the people who comment on your ad, but more than just like, oh, thanks, or cool, or thumbs up emoji, or a little whale emoji, like whatever. One of the clients that I kind of hit on earlier that we have, nationwide gun holster company, and we're talking the audiences. I have 10 to 20 million people in these audiences, $2.94 CPMs, hundreds of comments. They're having full-on conversations.
Which, if you guys don't know, that's incredibly cheap. That's like,
it's insanely cheap.
Yeah.
Like, bro, on other ad accounts where clients aren't doing that, or like we're not doing it enough.
I think the average for TV ads, because a lot of you guys love TV ads still for some god reason, I don't know why, but I think the CPM for TV ads is close to $20 to $30 depending on the network and the time of day.
And the time of year.
So like $20 to $30 a CPM. And that's a metric that I want a lot of people to know about. Like when you're talking about ads in general, no matter what platform you're advertising, no matter what method, it could be radio, TV, or digital, CPM is such an important metric. How much does it cost you to acquire somebody's eyeballs? Right? Yeah. Are you looking it up?
Yeah. Well, I know for TV, I mean, we literally have TV being placed for a local client next month, and it was about $30 to $35 CPM. And I'm just like, that's insane. So we're dropping like 20 G's on TV. And I'm like, dude, like,
if you give me 20 G's and put that onto social media,
100%, because his CPMs are like $5.
Your next problem would be to find some people and hire.
100%, and it's like he's already got that problem, but it's insane. But like just engaging with your audience, because even if they're negative comments, I get a lot of clients or people that are like, oh, what do I do? These guys are saying bad things, they're being buttholes, and I'm like, engage with them. Yeah, like honestly, on every platform, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, because the algorithms don't know the difference between negative comments and positive comments. All they see is engagement. Yes,
see, like that's another thing I've said.
It pushes it out cheaper.
Who is it? He's a real estate entrepreneur. He's really big. If you named him, I'd probably be like, that's him. Anyways, they have
Grant Cardone?
Yeah. Yes, he's got a troll metric that he says that he's like, we have a troll goal. We want to know how many people are trolling, and if we don't hit that goal, then he's like, I make some piece of content with my team that is controversial. I want people to get on there and comment. Why? Because then I work the algorithm. Don't be afraid of bad comments, right? But that's also like good, like when people give their honest feedback, because like you can figure out what your audience really thinks about your business or your product or your service or your industry, right? Man, we need to get into a whole topic. We need to do a whole nother like types of ads and how they work and kind of things like that too.
Well, I saw that just real quick. I saw this video from a guy last night, and it's so funny. So I'm like, dude, yeah, this is exactly what like you can kind of do is he. Oh, did mine? Everything's good.
You're back.
I'm back. Okay. They essentially are cultivating their own little community on these ads. And so they were for like dog products. And he said, so we'd run this ad, somebody would come in and say like, oh, this is really cool. This would be great for my dog. And he said, so most people would come in and be like, yeah, great. Like, go ahead. Here's the link. Buy it. Like, great. Instead, they'd go in and he'd say, you know, that's awesome. You know, hey, would you mind sharing a picture of your dog? And then that lady shares a picture of her dog. And then somebody else comes in later on and is like, oh, that's such a cute dog. And he goes, but then what we would do, and this is kind of shady, but it's funny to me at the same time, because he goes, then what we would do to like spark even more engagement is, he goes, we have a couple accounts that we use that would go in and be like, I don't like this dog. This is an ugly dog. Immediate enragement, immediate conversations, but they're like farming their own little community, you know, of engagements and stuff. And it's like, dude, I mean, that's how like nationwide CPMs are usually $15-20, right? To get a $3 CPM for millions of people is absurd. And that was one thing in my own e-commerce brands I was really big on, like always responding to comments with meaningful responses, not just, like I said, 100 or thumbs up. TikTok the same way. My biggest video on TikTok was controversial because I said how to legally and ethically steal your competitor's foot traffic.
Oh, I watched that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, but it's totally doable. But because I said legally, ethically, and steal, I had people who were like, hell yes. And then we had people who were like, you can't do that. You're horrible. You're the devil. And I'm like, bro, it was a hook. Like, I got you with the hook. But I was responding to them. And that thing got pushed out so much. It was insane just because I kept engaging with people.
That's awesome. All right, well, we need to wrap things up because we're getting close to that hour point in. But yeah, like I'm down to schedule up another part two and kind of dive into this some more and storytell, because like, man, I'm sitting here writing notes on my iPad and like, oh man, I thought about this, and oh, this is a good story, and oh, like what if we could do it this way, and I don't know. And again, going back to like one of my core values is the education part, you know, and always be learning and always be willing to share that. So, because again, I feel like if my clients aren't educated to be able to make the right decisions, and I don't share some of that knowledge on how all of this stuff works, then they can't be able to make the right business decisions going forward, right? And it brings up opportunity for me to say, hey, all right, you know, let's run some campaigns this style and bring up new opportunities to help grow their business. At the end of the day, that's my goal, right? Brand awareness, grow a business, 100%. and provide more than just some pretty graphics.
Yeah. No, for real. Yeah.
Well, Mitch, I appreciate you being on the podcast today, and I'll provide you some of this content as well. If you guys have any other questions, how can the audience reach out to you if they've got questions?
So you can hit me up, email. My email is mitch@barhammarketing.com, on all the social platforms, TikTok, Instagram. I am @beardpreneur. You'll never guess why it's a beardpreneur. I'm an entrepreneur and I have a beard, but yeah, beardpreneur. Feel free to hit me up on TikTok, Instagram. Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen his TikTok videos, they are freaking awesome, full of value, full of opportunities to learn about how all of this stuff works. So again, you can either go and do it yourself, and good luck to you. And if you need help with it, you know who to contact. I can also help out as well. So the Sooner CEO on TikTok, we're live on that as well, by the way. So I appreciate you guys joining in. What's up, Retro Guy? If you guys are missing out, anytime that we do the podcast, we are live on TikTok. So that's my own personal TikTok, the Sooner CEO. Appreciate you guys joining in. Mitch, appreciate you again as well. And then we'll be in touch to schedule a part two.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate it. It was great to be on. I love nerding out. Good stuff.
Yeah, me too.
The next one.
We'll talk some more numbers.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Good stuff.